Stop blaming the cookie. That might sound wrong at first, but stay with me because this is where things start to shift. For years, cookies have been treated like the enemy of fat loss. People cut them out, feel deprived, then end up overeating something worse later, and the cycle repeats. But here's the part most people never hear. Not all cookies work the same way inside your body. In fact, one simple version, made in just a few minutes, can do the exact opposite of what you expect. Not by burning fat like magic, not by breaking the laws of biology, but by quietly changing the one thing that controls almost everything in weight loss: your hunger. Right now, most people are fighting their own body every single day. They try to eat less, they try to stay disciplined, but their energy drops, cravings get stronger, and by the end of the day, control starts to slip. This isn't a willpower problem, it's a food problem. The wrong foods spike your blood sugar, then crash it. That crash creates hunger. That hunger leads to overeating. And before you even realize it, you've undone your entire day. That's why so many people feel stuck. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack discipline, but because their food is working against them from the start. Now, here's where things get interesting. There's a growing trend around something people are calling a 3-minute cookie. At first, it sounds like another internet trick, another quick fix, another promise that doesn't hold up. And yes, the claim that it can drop 30 pounds of body fat sounds exaggerated because no single food can do that on its own. But when you look deeper, something more practical starts to appear. This cookie is not about burning fat directly. It's about controlling the triggers that stop fat loss from happening in the first place. And that changes everything. Because when hunger is stable, decisions become easier. When energy stays steady, you don't reach for random snacks. When cravings are lower, you naturally eat less without forcing it. And when that happens consistently, fat loss stops feeling like a battle. It starts feeling automatic. That's the real shift most people miss. They chase extreme diets, they look for shortcuts, but the real advantage comes from small changes that remove friction from the process. In this video, you're going to learn exactly why this simple cookie is getting attention, what actually makes it different from regular snacks, and how it affects your body in a way most people never think about. You'll understand the hidden reason behind constant cravings, why some foods keep you full while others make you hungrier, and how a small change in what you eat can quietly influence your daily calorie intake without strict dieting. This is not about hype. It's about understanding how your body responds to food at a deeper level. And there's more. By the end of this video, you'll see why people who made this one small adjustment started noticing real changes over time. Not overnight, not instantly, but steadily. The kind of change that actually lasts. You'll also learn why most healthy snacks fail to help with fat loss, even when they look good on the surface. And once you understand that, you'll never look at food the same way again. Because the truth is simple: fat loss is not controlled by one big decision. It's controlled by hundreds of small ones you make every day. And most of those decisions are influenced by how hungry or satisfied you feel. Control that, and everything else becomes easier. Ignore it, and even the best plan starts to fall apart. So stay with me until the end, because the final part of this video will connect everything together in a way that makes this incredibly easy to apply in real life. No complicated rules, no extreme restrictions, just a smarter way to approach something you already eat. Welcome to the channel, where we break down simple health truths in a way that actually makes sense. If you want clear, practical ideas that help you understand your body and make better choices without confusion, hit the subscribe button and be part of this journey. Now, let's make one thing clear right away, because this is where most people get confused. This is not a magic cookie. It will not melt fat overnight. It will not break the rules of how the body works. But what it can do is far more powerful in the long run. It can change how your body reacts to food throughout the day. And that is where real fat loss begins. Because fat loss is not about one meal. It is about what happens after that meal. It is about how hungry you feel an hour later. It is about whether you reach for another snack without thinking. It is about whether your energy stays steady or crashes. This is the part most people ignore, and this is exactly where this idea starts to make sense. The promise here is simple, and it is grounded in how your body actually works. When you control hunger, everything becomes easier. When cravings are lower, you stop fighting yourself. When your blood sugar stays stable, your energy stays consistent. And when that happens, you naturally make better decisions without forcing them. That is the shift. Not extreme dieting, not cutting everything you enjoy, just removing the things that push your body into a cycle of hunger and overeating. Think about a normal day for most people. It usually starts with something quick and easy, maybe something sweet, maybe something processed. It tastes good in the moment, but within a short time, the body reacts. Blood sugar rises quickly, then it drops. And when it drops, hunger returns stronger than before. This is not a small effect. It changes your entire day. Because once hunger kicks in, your focus shifts. You start thinking about food again. You start looking for something to eat. And usually the next choice is not much better than the first one. This cycle keeps repeating. Eat something quick. Feel full for a short time. Crash. Crave. Eat again. And every time this happens, it becomes harder to stay in control. This is why so many people feel like they are constantly starting over. They try to eat less. They try to be strict. But their body keeps pulling them back into the same pattern. And after a while, it starts to feel like nothing works. The real problem is not effort. It is not motivation. It is not discipline. The real problem is that the food itself is creating the struggle. Most foods today are designed to be easy to eat and hard to stop. They are low in the things that keep you full and high in the things that spike your blood sugar. That combination is powerful. It keeps you coming back for more, even when you are not truly hungry. Constant hunger becomes normal. People start to think it is just part of dieting. But it is not supposed to feel that way. Your body is not meant to be in a constant state of craving. That is a signal, it is a response to what you are eating. When food digests too quickly, your body reacts by asking for more. And the faster it digests, the faster that hunger returns. Then come the sugar crashes. These are the moments when your energy suddenly drops. You feel tired, you feel slow, you lose focus. And without even thinking, you look for something to bring your energy back up. Usually something sweet, something quick, something easy. And just like that, the cycle continues. Late night cravings are another part of this pattern. After a full day of unstable eating, the body is still searching for balance. Even if you ate enough calories, the type of food matters. If it did not keep you satisfied, your body will keep asking for more. That is why evenings are often the hardest time for many people, not because they suddenly lose discipline, but because their body has been pushed into a cycle all day long. Energy dips also play a big role. When your energy is low, everything feels harder. Making good choices feels harder. Cooking feels harder. Even thinking clearly feels harder. And when you are tired, you naturally choose the easiest option. That is human behavior. It is not a weakness. It is a response to how your body feels. This is why that one simple line matters so much. Most people do not fail because of lack of discipline. They fail because their food is working against them. And once you understand that, everything starts to look different. The focus shifts from forcing yourself to eat less to choosing foods that make eating less feel natural. This is where the idea of the 3-minute cookie comes in. Not as a trick, not as a shortcut, but as a smarter option that changes how your body responds. At first, it sounds too simple, a cookie that helps with fat loss, that goes against everything people believe. But when you break it down, it starts to make sense. This cookie is different because of what it is made of. It is built around three key ideas: high protein, high fiber, and low sugar. That combination is not random. Each part plays a specific role in how your body reacts after eating. Protein is one of the most powerful nutrients when it comes to feeling full. It takes longer to digest. It sends signals to your brain that reduce hunger. It helps you stay satisfied for a longer time. When a food is high in protein, it does not just fill your stomach. It changes how your body responds for hours after eating. Fiber works in a similar way. but with its own benefits. It slows down digestion, it keeps food moving through your system at a steady pace, it helps prevent sudden spikes in blood sugar, and it adds volume without adding a lot of calories. That means you feel full without overeating. Low sugar is just as important. When sugar is high, blood sugar rises quickly. And when it rises quickly, it also drops quickly. That drop is what triggers hunger again. By keeping sugar low, this cookie avoids that sharp rise and fall. It keeps things stable. When you combine these three elements, something interesting happens. Digestion slows down. Instead of a quick spike and crash, you get a steady release of energy. Your blood sugar stays more balanced, and because of that, your hunger stays under control. This is not about feeling stuffed. It is about feeling satisfied. There is a difference. Feeling stuffed is temporary. It fades quickly. Satisfaction lasts longer. It keeps you from thinking about food every hour. It gives you space to focus on other things. Reducing cravings is one of the biggest benefits here. Cravings are not just about taste. They are often driven by what is happening inside your body. When your blood sugar drops, your brain looks for a quick solution. That usually means sugar or fast digesting carbs. But when your blood sugar is stable, those signals are weaker. You are not constantly pulled towards snacks. This is why this simple cookie can have such a big impact over time. Not because it directly burns fat, but because it changes the conditions that make fat loss possible. It removes some of the friction. It makes the process smoother. And the best part is that it fits into real life. It does not require extreme changes. It does not require cutting out everything you enjoy. It is a small adjustment, but small adjustments, when repeated daily, can lead to big results. Most people underestimate this. They look for big changes, they look for dramatic solutions, but the body responds more to consistency than intensity. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. When you start your day with something that keeps you full, your entire day shifts. You are less likely to snack, less likely to overeat, less likely to crash, and these small differences add up. Over time, those small changes can lead to real fat loss, not because of one food, but because that one food helped you stay on track. It helped you avoid the patterns that usually lead to overeating. That is why some people start seeing results after making this change. Not instantly, not overnight, but gradually. And the change feels easier compared to strict dieting. Because in the end, fat loss is not about fighting your body. It is about working with it. It is about choosing foods that support your goals instead of making them harder to reach. And when you find something simple that does that, it becomes much easier to stay consistent without feeling like you are constantly giving something up. Now, this is where everything starts to connect in a very real and practical way. Because up to this point, it might still sound like just another idea, just another food being talked about in a different way. But the real impact shows up in what happens after you eat it, not during. The effect is quiet, almost unnoticeable at first, but it builds across the day in a way that changes your behavior without forcing it. And that is the key difference. Most people try to force fat loss. They try to control every bite. They try to rely on discipline all day long. But the body does not work well under constant pressure. It pushes back, it creates hunger, it creates cravings, and eventually it wins. This is why so many plans fail, even when people start with strong motivation. When this type of cookie is used the right way, something very simple begins to happen. Hunger stays lower for longer periods of time. That alone changes a lot because when hunger is not constantly present, you are not thinking about food every hour. You are not searching for snacks between meals. You are not reacting to every small craving that shows up. Instead, you feel steady. You feel in control without trying so hard. And when hunger is lower, the total amount of food you eat across the day naturally goes down. Not because you are forcing yourself to eat less, but because your body is not asking for more. This is one of the most important connections to understand. Less hunger leads to fewer calories, but in a way that feels natural. There is no struggle in the moment. There is no feeling of being restricted. You simply do not feel the need to eat as often. And over time, that small shift creates a consistent calorie deficit. Not a large one, not an extreme one, but a steady one. And steady is what works. The body responds better to consistency than to extremes. When you create a small deficit every day, the body slowly starts using stored fat for energy. That is how fat loss actually happens. At the same time, energy levels stay more stable. This is another major advantage that often gets overlooked. When energy is stable, your day feels different. You are more focused. You are more active. You move more without even thinking about it. And movement matters more than people realize. It is not just about workouts, it is about how much you move throughout the entire day. When energy is low, you sit more, you avoid effort, you choose the easiest option every time. But when energy is steady, you naturally stay more active, and that adds to the overall energy you burn. Stable energy also reduces the need for quick fixes. There is no sudden urge to grab something sugary just to feel normal again. There is no crash that forces you to look for food. Instead, your body feels balanced. And when that balance is there, snacking becomes less frequent. Not because you are avoiding it, but because you do not feel the need for it. That is a big shift because for many people, snacking is where extra calories come from, small amounts throughout the day that add up without being noticed. Better control is another result of this change. And control here does not mean strict rules or rigid behavior. It means having the ability to make choices without feeling pushed by hunger or cravings. When your body is not constantly asking for food, your mind becomes clearer. You can decide what to eat instead of reacting to what your body demands in the moment. That creates a sense of control that feels natural, not forced. And when you have that control, staying consistent becomes much easier. This is why that one simple idea matters so much. Fat loss does not come from eating less once. It comes from eating smarter every day. One meal will not change everything. One good choice will not fix the problem. But repeated smart choices, supported by foods that help your body instead of fighting it, can create a lasting change. And that is exactly what this approach is built on. Now, this brings us to the part that creates confusion for many people. The idea that a simple cookie could lead to something like losing a large amount of weight. At first, it sounds unrealistic, it sounds exaggerated, and in a direct sense, it is. No single food has the power to remove that much fat from the body on its own. That is not how biology works. But the reason people start to believe this idea comes from what they experience after making the switch. When people replace their usual snacks with something that actually keeps them full, their eating pattern begins to change. They stop reaching for high sugar, low nutrient foods that trigger more hunger. They start feeling satisfied for longer periods of time. And without realizing it, they begin to eat less across the entire day, not in a dramatic way, but in a consistent way. And that consistency leads to gradual weight loss. Over time, these small daily changes add up, a little less here, a little less there, and slowly the body starts to respond. Weight begins to drop, energy improves, cravings become less intense, and because the process feels easier, people are able to stick with it for longer periods. That is what creates noticeable results. Not a single action, but repeated behavior over weeks and months. So when someone says they lost a significant amount of weight after adding something like this into their routine, what they are really describing is a chain reaction. The food helped them feel full. Feeling full helped them eat less. Eating less consistently created a calorie deficit. And that deficit led to fat loss over time. The cookie did not do it alone, it simply made the process easier to maintain. That is an important distinction because once you understand it, you stop looking for magic solutions and start focusing on what actually works. You begin to see food as a tool, not just something you eat. And when you use that tool correctly, it can support your goals instead of working against them. At its core, this idea is built around a simple combination of nutrients, a strong protein source that supports fullness and helps control appetite, a reliable source of fiber that slows digestion and keeps things steady inside the body. Healthy fats that add satisfaction and help maintain energy levels, and a form of natural sweetness that avoids sharp spikes in blood sugar. Each part plays a role, and together they create a balanced effect. This balance is what makes the difference. It is not about removing everything you enjoy, it is about adjusting the structure of what you eat so that it supports your body instead of creating more problems. When these elements are combined in the right way, the result is something that feels satisfying, tastes good, and works with your body's natural signals. And this is where a clear reality check becomes important. No single food burns fat. There is no shortcut that bypasses how the body works, but the right foods can make fat loss easier and more sustainable. They can reduce the struggle, they can remove some of the constant pressure, and they can help you stay consistent without feeling like you are always fighting yourself. That is the real value here. Not a quick fix, not a dramatic promise, but a simple, practical shift that changes how your body responds throughout the day. And when that response improves, everything else begins to fall into place in a way that feels natural and manageable. At the end of the day, this is not about removing every food you enjoy or forcing yourself into a strict routine that never lasts. It is about making smarter choices that still feel good, choices that work with your body instead of against it. Because the truth is simple. It's not about cutting everything you love, it's about upgrading it. And when you start doing that, even in small ways, your body begins to respond differently. Hunger becomes easier to manage, cravings lose their control, energy feels more stable, and what once felt difficult slowly becomes part of your normal life. Sometimes, one small change in what you eat can change how your body responds for years, not because it is powerful on its own, but because it sets everything else in the right direction. It removes friction, it creates consistency, and consistency is what leads to real lasting results. The kind that do not disappear after a few weeks, the kind that stays with you because it fits into your life. If this video helped you see fat loss in a simpler and more practical way, take a second to support the channel. Like this video so more people can find it. Subscribe for more simple health truths that actually make sense. And share this with someone who struggles with cravings and feels stuck. Because sometimes the right idea at the right time can change everything.